All right. Wow. Okay. I can see a lot of people joining thick and fast. Always good to see people here on time. It's always a good start. And geez, okay, we had over we had over 500 people just in the waiting room, which is good news because that means the guys in the WhatsApp were paying attention. Hello, Zohra. That means those guys in the WhatsApp were paying attention to me and followed my instructions to join ahead of time, so they didn't have any connection issues. So we're going to wait for everyone to roll in. Let me get my screen and everything up so you can see what I'm looking at. Get everything shared properly. Wonderful, there's that. Right, first person to comment in the chat to let me know that they can see my screen and hear me okay gets brownie points. Let's see, yeah, I can't see who got that first. Was it Leanne, Lisa? Messages are coming through too fast. All right, yes, thank you to Leanne and everyone else who has commented to say they can see me okay. So we have got a lot of people joining us this evening. Apologies for repeating myself to anyone who's already been in the WhatsApp group, but we have had over 2,500 people register for the event this evening, which is mind-blowing. So for that reason, obviously it's going to get very busy. So be kind to one another in the chat and be patient. Any kind of abuse, you're just going to get kicked out. So don't be that person. And be patient with me as well. We will be trying to kind of control the chat as best as we can, mainly just to make sure that you get the information that you signed up to receive. So when I'm going through important aspects of the system that we're going to be going through tonight, we will pause the chat and then we'll reopen at other stages so you can ask questions and engage. However, if you have questions, please post them in the Q&A section of your Zoom bar. So if you don't see Q&A, just go to the more, where it's got the three dots in the circle, go to Q&A, post your questions in there. Sometimes you can see only your questions, sometimes you can see other people's questions as well. Don't really know why, it's just what Zoom does. But post your questions in there. I will get to as many as I possibly can. Obviously, I won't be able to get to all of them because we had to host, we're hosting this now across two platforms. We've already got over 1,000 people in here across those two platforms. So I will get to as many questions as I can, but I'm not going to get to all of them. So I will answer the most popular questions. I'm just going to send the link out one last time to anyone who needs it, just in case people are having connection issues. And then we're going to get right into it. So welcome in Gary, Bragati, Andy, Inga, Gail, Siri, Sarah, Nikki, Elizabeth, Deborah, Kath, everyone who has already commented in the chat and joined so far. Welcome in. I am buzzing. I'm so excited to be presenting this to all of you this evening because this is literally like my life's work kind of consolidated into like an hour-long presentation, and this system has changed my life like entirely, and I'm confident that it can do the same for anyone else who follows it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the chat right now, but good evening. Thank you, Debbie and Becky. So welcome in, everyone. Let's get started, shall we? Like I say, I'm really excited to have you here, and I really believe that you should be excited too, because this is the first day of your journey towards financial peace of mind and that financial security and a more comfortable and earlier retirement, right? If you want it to be, of course, right? If you take action on what I teach you and tell you to do today, then it will be the first day of that journey. If not, if you don't take action, then things will just stay the same, right? The circumstances that you weren't happy about, which led you to want to join this event in the first place, will not improve if you do nothing off the back of this. So please do take some form of action. You owe it to yourselves. In fact, I kind of added this in last minute, but before we dive in, I wanted to show you just how close you could actually be to having that financial security, control, and peace of mind that you've probably been looking for. So this is James. This is James's story, okay? James attended one of the last events we hosted back in July last year. You can see the dates there. So James was 46 when he joined this event. He had no retirement plan and no idea how to build one. And he thought he was destined to retire into poverty. That was his words. He watched a similar event to what you're going to see tonight, claimed a similar gift to the one that you're going to get the opportunity to claim this evening. And he then decided that actually he just wanted to work directly with me to speed up the whole process and get his financial roadmap in place. The next day, he had this kind of brief moment of panic, thinking, have I done the right thing? And sent this message into the community, which is absolutely fair enough. And fortunately for me, which was really nice to see, he was met with just reams of replies from people letting him know how much it was going to change his life, because that's the impact it had on them. And within 6 weeks of watching that event, within 6 weeks of being where you are right now, this 46-year-old chap who's now a good friend of mine, who thought he was destined to retire into poverty at maybe 67, had a money management system in place, making him £600 a month better off, 90% of his debt eliminated, 3-month emergency fund fully funded and in place, and an investment plan and strategy that's going to enable him to retire at 61 with more than enough to cover the lifestyle he actually wants to live. So in the space of 6 weeks, moving from thinking he was going to retire into poverty to at maybe 67 to retiring comfortably at 61. That's the power of this system, right? And he got started at 46 with very little behind him. So kind of take that for context, because I know a lot of people are always asking, will this work for me because I'm X age, X income, blah, 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 right? And we'll get into that. But I just wanted to show you quickly what he had to say about it so that you can hear from someone who's been sat where you're sitting right now.
When you joined, as many people are, right, you were skeptical, and you know, and I, as I said to you, right, I encourage people to be skeptical, because there's some crazy people on the internet that will try and steal money from people. Unfortunately, I shouldn't laugh; it's terrible. But you know, and when you joined, you had a moment of like, oh, have I done the right thing? Is this all legit? Like, is this going to work out? So I suppose I wanted to ask that question for you specifically. What would you say to anyone who's maybe like having those thoughts and wonders if this is legit and that kind of thing, like, and is on the fence, but maybe doesn't want to take that leap because they're worried about that kind of risk?
Well, I can only say from my end, it is 100% legitimate. And like you say, when I signed up, but in all honesty, Joe, when I signed up, I pretty much wiped out the one bit of contingency I had, and as I've been telling my girlfriend and my friend and whatever, honestly, I already feel like it's the best money I've ever spent.
Love it. So it was worth it then?
Really worth it.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear it.
So as you know, today, as we've been talking about, you know, in the promotions for this and on the page where you signed up for this event, I'm going to be teaching you how to secure your current and future finances, how to build wealth on autopilot and retire as soon as possible to do what you want with your life. And using this system that I put in place for James, and now at this point over 270 other people over the last 2.5 years, this is all possible with just 15 minutes of your time per week and no investing experience required. So let's see who is paying attention. Drop a yes in the chat if you want to learn how that system that James used works. Jody, Kay, Zara again, Alison, Joe, David, Gil. I can't even read the names, they're coming through so fast. I'm glad to see you're paying attention. I will be testing you again, so we'll see who's dropped off. And it's only the hardcore of you who will still be with us, probably. The ones who are really committed. Lynn, thank you very much. Helen. All right. I'm going to be getting right into it right now. Okay. But just to remind you though, there is going to be a gift for a select few of you who watch until the end of this event, which is now worth £600. Okay, we've had more registrations than ever before, so we've increased the value of this gift from £300 to £600. You'll be aware of that if you were in the WhatsApp group. But on top of that, a limited number of you are going to be offered an exclusive opportunity as well, which is worth £2,000. So make sure you stay with us. You know, really, if you're serious about drastically improving your finances and your future wealth potential, then stay to the end of this event, because you're not going to want to miss what we've got for you. So let's just dive in. Right. In this webinar, like I said, I'm going to be teaching you how to truly take control of your finances. None of the usual BS that you see people talking about out there. A real system that's worked for me and is working for others, giving them real future altering results. Okay, I'm going to show you the tools, the processes, the systems that will enable you to save and invest more, become debt-free faster, and how to set yourself up for a more comfortable and earlier retirement than you ever thought was possible for you. But you might be sat there thinking, that's great, but who are you and why the hell are you teaching me this? So that's fair enough, right? So who am I and why am I teaching you this? On the who am I question, simply put, I am a husband and a father who really just wanted more for me and my family financially, for ourselves and our future. And about 6 years ago now, decided enough was enough. I'd been trying and dabbling and, researching and so on and so forth. But I decided enough was enough and I had to dive in and make something happen for us. I started doing really just what I could to secure our finances, pay off our debts, and figure out how to build anything that resembled wealth for our future and also our daughter's future. And I began just documenting my journey and my findings and my learnings along the way. Okay. So that interest became a hobby. The hobby became an absolute obsession because it improved our lives. It made us wealthier and more financially secure. And that obsession then became a business, which now has over 140,000 followers across multiple platforms, which I now use to try and transform other people's lives. I alluded to this earlier, but we've had over 270 people at the point of this event who have come through my one-on-one program, and 100% of them are now better off, more financially secure, and set up for a more comfortable and earlier retirement than they thought was possible for them, having completed it. It really is as simple as that. So why am I teaching you how to secure your finances and build a financially secure future? The answer to that one is really simple, fortunately. It's because I feel like I've been where many of you are right now, right? With the same, maybe not the exact financial circumstances, because they can vary significantly, as you're probably aware, but definitely with the same financial concerns, stresses, and anxieties that you have, and the same goals, right? The same goals and desires for your future and your family's financial security. But like you, not having a clue about what to do, where to begin, or how to get yourself maybe out of the hole you feel like you're probably starting from. That was my situation. Now, I'm very glad to report that I've obviously figured it out. Okay, I've escaped my 9 to 5 at the age of 32. I'm on track to hit millionaire status at 37, and my wife has fully retired at the age of 33, and we will both reach complete financial independence and be completely work optional together by the age of 42, if not before that, using this system. And the thing is I'm nothing extraordinary. So I know for a fact that all of you can, at the very least, drastically improve your current circumstances and your future prospects by taking action on what I'm going to be teaching you, by taking action and using this system. In a nutshell, I'm stood here teaching you this system today because this is everything I wish I had at the start of my journey. So talking of starting, actually, it's a great place to start. Where the hell do you actually start, right? That's the question most people have. And unfortunately, this is where probably 99% of people actually fail. And that's because they just simply never get started at all, or they leave it far too late, which we're going to learn about later. And this was my exact issue at the start of my journey. And the thing is, and put a yes, actually, wait until I've told you these, but put a yes in the chat if any of what I'm about to tell you sounds familiar. I knew I needed to do something, so I was following different social media accounts and watching YouTube videos on money and investing literally every day on the way to work, listening to podcasts, watching videos on my lunch break, listening to podcasts on the way home again. But all I got from this was just a bombardment of information every day, getting 20 plus different and often conflicting opinions on what you should be doing with your money, which ultimately means you do nothing because you're scared of doing the wrong thing for you and it's sending you further behind than you already are, right? It's analysis paralysis. And I can see so many people saying yes in the chat. And although I'm not glad that you're feeling that way because I've been there, I know it's not a nice feeling. But I'm glad that you can relate because it means that you're in the right place, essentially. So that's good to hear. I think what I realized was that kind of magic pill or like formula that I was looking for that would miraculously fix my specific problems and show me what I needed to do just never fell into my lap, right? And I realized luckily early on that this magic formula just simply didn't exist, right? And I had to create something for myself because what works for other people wasn't going to necessarily work for me in all this kind of disjointed manner. So I needed to build something that I could then use to help other people. The thing is, doing so, figuring this out, took me 2 years, 16 books, 180 hours of YouTube videos, which I have saved in my playlists, 122 podcast episodes, and over £7,000 in courses and mentors for me to be able to understand the rules, the processes and systems I was going to implement, the different investing and tax strategies I could take advantage of, and to build the tools that I needed as well, right? And that was just to be able to get started. So it took another 7 years of trial and error, blood, sweat, and I mean literally tears, not a metaphor, and also non-stop application to get this system and these tools to where they are today. And that's something I really want to emphasize to you, and I think is important to know before we get into this system, is this isn't something that I just did once many years ago that might not be relevant now. And I didn't come from money, far from it, literally grew up on a council estate and was never given a penny. And I haven't worked in some kind of like 6-figure job at an out of touch money institution like you see a lot of these influencers out there doing, and then coming and preaching to everyone else like they understand what it's like to come from nothing, right? And I suppose the point is this is the stuff that worked for me. This is the system and the tools that worked for me, still works for me now, and is also working for the hundreds of other people who are applying the same system as we speak. I suppose the point I'm trying to make is I'm in the trenches with you all now, still implementing this stuff, still using and improving this system and these tools that I'm showing you today so that you can continue to benefit from them. I've taken the process that I ended up following, eliminated the guesswork, the costly mistakes and the setbacks that I had to endure along the way, and combined this with now 9 years of my own knowledge and experience, having applied this with 270 plus students. And I've created a simple, structured system that you can take advantage of on day one of your journey, right? If you take action today, obviously. Now, before I tell you exactly how this works, I want you to know what kind of results you can actually expect to get from this when you implement it, just so you know it's actually going to be worth your time listening to this. I think that's really important. So these are the average results of those who've implemented the system that I'm going to be teaching you tonight. Okay, on average, they're saving about £1,700 more per month. They are cutting £23,000 in interest off of their debts. So £23,000 less they have to pay back on their debts using the system. As a result, they're becoming debt-free 10 years faster. They are set to retire on average 18 years earlier, and they are saving £468,000 in investing fees by using this system and strategy instead of a combined platform and advisor fee of 1.5%. So that is just how powerful the system is. When you look at those numbers, you can see just how future altering those results are. It's literally like life-changing amounts, right? Ultimately, what this system does is it puts more money in your pocket today, but also in the future. And it really, really is as simple as that. And the thing is like all of these people who are getting these average results, obviously there are averages, so the ranges can vary significantly. It depends. Everyone's circumstances are so different, you know, single income, dual income households, low income, high income, debt versus no debt, investments behind you versus no investments behind you, inheritance versus no inheritance, all of this kind of stuff plays into it. But this works no matter what your circumstances are, really. And I'll get onto more about that in a minute. But the main thing I want to stress is like, all of these people started from similar circumstances to you and I, right? As I mentioned earlier, I've been where many of you are, and if I haven't, then I've helped someone in a similar circumstance to you. And this system has made all of these people better off than they were previously, right? That's really what it comes down to. Those on a low income and unsure how to build any kind of wealth, those on a good income but feeling like they maybe have very little or maybe even nothing to show for it in terms of, you know, financial success, well-being, or just confidence in their future, their financial future. Those who feel stuck in a cycle of debt with no idea how to escape them, and those who have no plan for their future, who just want an alternative to the prospect of working until they are 70 or older, right? Whether they're starting in their 20s or their 60s, and that's literally the actual age range of our students, all of them are now set to be able to retire earlier than they thought was possible for them, with more income than they thought they would have at that point of their lives. So, and on that final point, actually, about facing the prospect of working until you are 70 or older, That's actually what initially kickstarted this whole journey for me, right? When I received a letter from my workplace pension provider at 24 telling me that I was going to have to work until I was 82 if I wanted a modest 20K a year income in retirement, which if it's not a poverty income now, definitely will be by that point in my life. So there was a 24-year-old me being told I was going to have to work for another 58 years. I think that is quick maths. So obviously when I saw that, I panicked and swore a few times and thought what any normal person would think, right? How is this possible? So what I did is I thought I need to speak to an expert because I wasn't one at the time. So I had a chat with the pension advisor at work, and what he told me really just confirmed that I had no chance of retiring early or having the life and the future I wanted if I just blindly followed the path that, you know, the system wanted me to follow, especially if I depended at all on the advisors to help me or the government to support me. And that is sadly what probably 99% of people are doing, right? Through no fault of your own, by the way, simply because we aren't educated on how to properly manage our finances, avoid bad debt, and plan for retirement. At the very least, I think they should tell us how to optimize these pensions that we were all given when we were like thrust out into the workforce. But they don't even do that. And it is absolutely criminal, if you ask me. But I think, unfortunately, the bottom line is the knowledge, structure, and tools you need to achieve your full financial potential are not readily available for free. And because of this, most people just make a mess of their finances and get stuck working into later life, full of anxiety and the fear of retiring into poverty, like we've heard from James, or maybe even just like a small financial blip leading to financial hardship. The solution that was offered to me by the advisor that I spoke to was save more. He wanted me to work up to a 20% pension contribution within the next 5 years, which for me at the time, 24-year-old me, was impossible. I was making 24K a year at the time, right? A couple of years out of uni. I was renting a flat with my then girlfriend, and we wanted to do all the things that a young couple want to do, right? We wanted to save for a house and get engaged and get married and start a family. All the things that you do in life that are like the biggest financial commitments you ever make. So life was not getting any cheaper for me anytime soon, as I'm sure you probably know, having experienced this yourselves, a lot of you. So how the hell was I supposed to sacrifice 20% of what already felt like quite a small salary that I didn't have much left of in the first place, right? I had two options as I saw it. And this is a recurring theme that will also come up for you as well, okay? Option number one, we don't like this. I could bury my head in the sand, keep doing what I was doing, keep living paycheck to paycheck, accruing more and more debt for the things society told me I needed to have whilst I tried to cobble together the money for a house and a family only to retire when I was 82, right? If I even made it that far. For those of you who don't know, life expectancy for males in the UK right now, 79. So it wasn't looking too good for me. So that was option one. Again, you can see why that wasn't a good option. Option two, instead of burying my head in the sand, I could invest my time and the little money I did have into learning how to manage and invest my money the right way, with the goal of escaping my 9 to 5 and setting myself up to be able to retire as soon as possible. Anything sooner than 82 really was a winner for me. But the outcome of diving in, pulling my head out of the sand, investing in myself and the knowledge I needed to make this happen, is that I've now wiped 40 years off of my retirement age. I've escaped my 9 to 5 at the age of 32. And the comparatively small amount I invested to learn how to do this has now paid for itself literally hundreds, if not thousands of times over already. And man, am I glad I invested in myself when I had the chance to do so, because now I have control of my time, my money, and my future. I've got clarity, I've got certainty, and above all else, I can't understate this. I can't overstate this enough. Above all else, I have confidence about what my future looks like and where I'm headed. And I feel in control of that. And this is exactly what you'll have when you implement this system as well. All you need is an income and the desire for a better future. And I know this because that's all Travis had when he found me. He wanted to make sure that he wasn't stuck working into his late 60s like he saw his parents doing. And he'll now have the option to stop working in his late 40s if he chooses, with 6 figures of passive income. And I think it's really important you hear from someone other than me about this system, and preface like the actual system when I'm showing you before I show you the system, hearing from people who have actually used it, so you know that this is for real. Okay, so this is what he has to say about getting that plan in place.
Cool. So when it came to obviously wanting to retire early and stuff like that and becoming financially free, did you have any kind of like certainty over when you might be able to make that happen before you joined?
Not even a little bit. I had no idea. You know, I had hoped, I guess that would be the best word for it. I had hoped it would be around what we were talking about. I think I even said like 55 originally, just kind of trying to overshoot that number, not trying to undershoot it too much. But yeah, I mean, I had no idea. I mean, I hope to retire next week, but obviously that's a little, you know, that's a little egregious, you know? So, I mean, I was trying to be realistic with it, but yeah, I had no idea when I was going to retire. So it's awesome to see, you know, what it even looks like right now.
Yeah, no, amazing. So yeah, what about now? Do you feel confident that you're like gonna like not only be able to retire early, but also like be confident that you're gonna have enough money to retire?
Oh yeah, yeah, and I definitely think based off, you know, what we talked about too, I'm going to be able to potentially even shave that number down, depending on the second income as well. So yeah, it all might look even better, you know, when I go through that stuff. So
One of the last things I want to ask is, what would you say to someone right now who's like in a similar kind of position and is like on the fence about joining?
I would say don't wait, you know. There's no reason to wait. I mean, you're just going to be kicking yourself down the road if you do.
Really much. And this is Jade, who uses some really important words to kind of listen out for here, but mainly that she feels empowered, knowing that she has a plan in place to be work optional at 44 with the passive income that we're helping her generate. So this is what she had to say about getting that plan in place for her and her family.
What you wanted when you joined was that just kind of general better money management, like you touched on, to feel that kind of confidence that you mentioned, so that you could feel confident about the future and potentially expanding your family. And then ultimately the big one is that retiring ASAP. And for you, it was you wanted to retire in your 40s, and that you seemed pretty like dead set on that. And now I'm really glad to report we have all of those things, right? And so, you know, we've put a monthly money management process in place that's brought you kind of like back into the green each month by quite a decent amount as well. We've got a detailed and optimized plan now that's going to enable you to purchase that property that you wanted. And you've got a plan in place that's going to enable you to retire by at least 44. And I think that's like worst case. I think we're gonna do better than that. So with that said, how do you feel about things now?
I feel really good. I definitely left feeling extremely empowered, and that is not how I was feeling before. I was probably feeling the opposite of that. So just like having a plan, I would say is pretty priceless, and like feeling like when my job annoys me, kind of just knowing that, you know, the retirement is like not too long in the future if I stick to this plan is a really good feeling.
And then how have you found like the overall process and like the tools and the course?
Yeah, I love the fact that it kind of just walks you through like, exactly what to do. That like pre-work that you had us do and like the way you had us lay it all out was a really good exercise to do. I also just find like I've been going through some of the course like at my leisure and like listening to the reportings and just find it super interesting. I find myself taking notes and just things to remember for just overall financial health. So I'm finding it really, really awesome. Definitely worth the value for me.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. So in that case, then what would you say to anyone who's like maybe thought about joining, or who comes across this video and is maybe on the fence and considering joining the program, but maybe hasn't taken that leap yet?
I would say definitely join. It's 100% worth it for just the peace of mind of knowing, like, you know, even if it's never too late, if you haven't started your financial plan, just knowing what the next steps are and like having that clearly delineated has been awesome. I also just think you really know your stuff, so it's been great to work with you and just feel confident in that plan. So I would say do it.
And that's what I kind of wanted to get across here. It's never too late. Getting that peace of mind and having your plan in front of you clearly delineated, showing you exactly what your financial future looks like and how to optimize it, how to get there even sooner, and when you're going to get to that ultimate end goal of financial freedom and, you know, an early retirement by. How many people do you know who can look at a document and tell you that you know, what their future looks like? Probably no one, right? That's how incredible this is and how empowering having that plan is. The bottom line is that everyone who implements this process will benefit from it, right? Whether you are young, old, low income or high income, no debt versus lots of debt, you will be better off, more financially secure, and retire years earlier than you otherwise would have, with confidence in your future and hundreds of thousands more in the investment accounts you maybe don't even have yet, or that simply aren't working as hard as they could be right now. So who is this training for? Let's answer that question, and then very, very quickly, by the way, and then we're going to get right into it, I promise you. So if you want a solid plan in place for your current and future finances, if you want to learn how to manage and grow your money more effectively, if you want to make sure the money you make is actually going to good use, the money you work hard for is working as hard, if not harder, for you than you work for it, then this is for you. If you want to become debt-free faster, if you want to invest for your family's future, if you want to retire when you choose, right, within reason, and not when the government tells you you can, and obviously preferably ASAP, and if you want to just be in control of your life and your future, then this training is for you. If you're not interested in those things, or you're looking for some kind of like get rich quick scheme, then you've come to the wrong event this evening and feel free to leave. However, if that is you and you want an actionable guide you can use to achieve all of this yourself, then one last time, drop a yes in the chat so I can still see who's still paying attention, and then we're going to jump right into the process, and I mean right into it. So get your pens and paper ready, and be ready to kind of turn those listening ears on, because we're going to be getting straight into it. Yes, absolutely. Love the enthusiasm. Sarah, Fiona, Rebecca, Gail, Paul, Jamie, Chris, Matt, Matthew, Paul, Derek. I can't even keep up with the names. Grace, about time. If you don't want to be here, Anne, feel free to leave. So yes, let's get into it. Right. So what I'm going to run through here, and I mean this, we're getting right into it, so get ready to pay attention. What I'm going to run through here is the financial freedom framework. This is the unique step-by-step system that eliminates the guesswork from money management and investing and helps you build wealth on autopilot. And when I say the unique step-by-step system, I mean unique. I built this from the ground up, literally everything from scratch myself over the last 9 years, and I'm still tweaking and perfecting it now and adding and improving it. You cannot find this elsewhere, and this is not something that AI can do for you. I know, because we have tried and it doesn't work. So pens at the ready. Okay, we're jumping right in right now. Final warning. Phase one. I'm going to run through the phases here and explain what you need to do in each one. So please make sure you're paying attention. In this phase one, this is where we are going to determine your current state, which is absolutely key. After all, how will you know how to get to where you want to be if you don't already know where you are right now? Right, you need to know a point A and a point B in order to map the route between those two things. And this is the thing that most people want to skip over, and therefore their plan just ends up falling on its arse. You need to know your current state in fine detail. This means confronting the uncomfortable truths about your finances so that you know best what you need to do next, okay? So really, really important. We're also going to clarify and refine the goals you have to the critical few that will actually move the needle for you in the shortest time frame, rather than spreading, your finger between 5 different fingers between 12 different pies and not making any progress with any one of them quickly. We're going to clarify and refine them to the critical few that are actually going to move the needle. We're going to cut out any waste in your current spending and month-to-month finances and ensure that you are prioritizing the expenses and the things you do each month that provide you and your family with not only a roof over your head and food in the fridge, but also experiences, right? Happiness and fulfillment. This is about a balanced, realistic, sustainable approach to building wealth over the long term that ensures you can live well today, but also ensures that you can continue living well for the rest of your days and don't have to work until you're dead. Okay, so really, really important. And finally, in this phase, we're going to map out the plan for achieving your short and medium term goals, such as, becoming debt free, establishing an emergency fund, saving a deposit for a house, all of the kind of things that most people need to do at some point in their lives. Now, I want to stress this. The order in which you do those short and medium term things depends entirely on your specific circumstances and the circumstances surrounding those financial situations. Doing things in the wrong order could cost you more and delay your progress. So you need to make sure you build out the most financially efficient and cost-effective route for you. And the gift I have for you later will help with this. One thing I want to make really, really clear here is how critical this phase is, especially the part around understanding your current state, like I said, because you need to know what your monthly expenses are today for two distinct reasons, okay? Firstly, so you know what free cash flow you have, so the difference between your income and your outgoings, to achieve your short-term goals, i.e. debt elimination or savings goals. And secondly, to accurately estimate what your desired lifestyle is going to cost when you are in the financial freedom or retirement phase of your life. Now, we call this your FI number, your financial independence number, okay? Now, we have a really simple, structured method of ensuring that calculating this is as painless and as accurate as possible when we work through the process with the students in the academy. And it's all using the same tool that I'm going to show you shortly, but with some additional tabs that you won't see, right? As you can appreciate, they paid good money to have this broken down in fine detail and to have it made as simple and as easy to accurately calculate as possible. It goes without saying as well, right? It also helps to have someone like myself who's done this for themselves and 270 plus other people to help you ensure that it's not only accurate, but also optimized, okay? And that's what they're getting really, right? They're hitting the ground running immediately collecting the low-hanging fruit they didn't often even know was available to them until I literally just handed it to them on a plate. And they are eliminating the guesswork, the costly mistakes, the uncertainty, the fear, and the delays that most people face when they try to do this stuff alone, as you may have experienced. Now, you need to make a note here. To get a rough idea of your FI number, your financial independence number, this is what you need to do. You need to multiply your current monthly expenses by 12 to get your yearly expenses, and then multiply that number by 25 to get your FI number, okay? Just like you see with the example there on the slide. Now, that, I want to stress, is a rough estimate of the amount of money you need saved or invested to never have to work again. Because how it works is the drawdown you take from it covers your expenses and will continue to grow with exposure to the right passive investments at a rate that is higher than that which you are making withdrawals to ensure that you never run out, okay? This is known as the 4% rule, or SWR, which is the safe withdrawal rate, which was determined by the Trinity studies conducted by Harvard, okay? So this is kind of like a catch-all general guidance with proven principles based on real-time data over the best part of a century, which I've taken and built a system and tool around and plugged it into my overarching system, okay? Again, the Academy videos would walk you through our proprietary process and my proprietary process to make sure the figure you get is accurate. Then it will show you how to iterate on this calculation as your circumstances change so that it stays accurate. Ultimately, that means it allows you to make small adjustments over time rather than doing what most people do, which is not look at your numbers again for another 5 or 10 years and then have to start from scratch because they no longer make sense, right? Now, the videos also walk you through how to run withdrawal illustrations as well and a risk assessment to see how long your money is going to last under different market conditions. And again, that's all using my proprietary retirement forecasting and planning tools. So really, really important. The key outcome once you finish phase one, after doing all of this, is clarity, right? The benefit you get from confronting the uncomfortable truths about your finances and setting goals which actually move the needle is a hell of a lot of clarity over your current circumstances and starting to understand, really showing you exactly where you stand today financially and giving you crystal clear goals that you are 110% committed to achieving. That's what it comes down to. That's phase one. Phase two is the push phase, okay? This is where we are going to get organized. We are going to organize your financial life and put systems and processes in place. And really, I do a lot of the heavy lifting for you if we do this together, but we get your financial life organized and put you back in control. You'll learn how to implement a zero-based money management system that gives you complete visibility and control of your month-to-month finances with as little as 20 to 30 minutes per month, and also helps you just build wealth on autopilot because it is just a rinse and repeat system that you do once per month from that point forwards. You're also going to set up the automated tracking of your assets, liabilities, and net worth, and begin executing on your short and medium-term goals, i.e., debt elimination, savings goals, and things like that. In parallel to this, you're going to build out the investment plan and strategy that you will implement to achieve your retirement goals. And I've got more on this later. You can see there at the bottom of this slide, covering phase 2, is that this is the phase where we set up your pillars of personal finance, which I want to tell you about now. You see, most other people doing anything like this would leave this detail out, but every good financial roadmap needs to cover all 3 of these pillars, otherwise it will fall apart sooner rather than later. Okay, the 3 pillars are tracking your money, saving your money, and investing your money. And you might be sat there thinking, well, that doesn't sound hard, but there's levels to this game, and you need to bear with me here. Everything I ever teach you about money will come back to one of these 3 pillars, which is why I wanted to go over these today. Like I said, most people would leave this out, but I didn't want you to go away without knowing this. Pillar number 1 is all about tracking your income versus your outgoings. And that is taken care of in this monthly balance sheet. This is the first step you need to take. You put in your planned expenses and your income and track your actual spend against that plan to make sure you stay on track. There is no goddamn point in setting a plan if you are not tracking your actuals against that plan. And there is no point in tracking your spending if you're not tracking your spending against the plan you have built. People are often doing one or the other or neither of them, but never both. And this is where they're going wrong, because they're not getting the information they need to make informed decisions to correct things going forward and to understand what they can do to build wealth. And all this takes is a maximum of 30 minutes per month. But what it does is it gives you complete awareness and control over what's going on with your money, which is really important when you consider that not having that control and visibility is the root cause of most people's financial problems and the gateway to debt. It's why most people end up in debt, because they don't understand the impact of their financial decisions, their spending decisions, and they end up getting credit cards and loans and so on and so forth. And then they only realize the impact once it's too late. I'm speaking from experience here. Now, you're also going to track your savings and investments in this tab here, so you can keep track of those and see everything climbing nicely, any home equity and assets you have over here, and any debts you have in this tab. And all of that information then feeds into this final tab, which automatically calculates your net worth for you. This is powerful because it's like having a monthly report on the health status of your finances, which is something you are missing out on if you don't already have it. Because what it does, really, it allows you to see the long-term impact of your short-term financial decisions, and it encourages you to make decisions that will push this number up over time rather than down, right? It's crazy simple, but the psychological trick is deeply rooted in this, and it is incredibly powerful. Now, I want to emphasize here that just that simple act of tracking your money and your monthly spending in that first tab alone that I showed you will do wonders for your financial habits, because it will make you more aware of how you spend your money. And by doing this, you will be able to immediately pinpoint bad spending habits and eliminate them, right? After all, you can't change a bad habit if you don't know you have one to begin with. Now, the second pillar is saving money. Again, sounds incredibly simple, but there are 2 ways to interpret the term saving money, okay? Also, it's a term I use lightly because you cannot save your way to wealth in 2 respects. The first is reducing expenses, right? By cutting the waste from your budget to free money up for you to save. And the second is the actual act of saving money in a savings account. Now, starting with number 1, right, you definitely cannot save your way to wealth that way, because you can only cut your expenses so much. It's a zero-sum game, right? You can only cut them to the point where all you're left with is a roof over your head and your essential bills and a very miserable life. But so I don't recommend that. However, reviewing them and sense checking them is still a worthwhile exercise, because everyone has poor habits and waste that they could cut out instantly. And not only would they not suffer from it as a result, they would actually benefit from it, because we can then designate that money to not just savings and investments for their goals, but also for life and experiences and memories. A lot of people come to me and say, oh, we never have any money to do anything together as a family or go out as a couple, or blah, 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 blah. And then we look at their expenses and see where the money's been going, and we're like, no wonder, right? And once they free that up and cut out that waste, suddenly they're doing all this extra stuff as well as achieving their goals. It's game changing. So that's the first element of the saving money pillar. The second element is actually saving that money in a savings account. Okay. Now, I really want to make this point clear. There are very few justifications for using a savings account instead of investing responsibly over the long term. The only reasons you would save instead of investing, a couple of examples would be an emergency fund, a down payment deposit for a house, something like that, savings for a wedding, short-term stuff, or emergency fund. In those examples, the only real examples you would want to use savings other than investments, you just need to make full use of the best high yield savings accounts you can find to keep inflation at bay. Otherwise, your money is devaluing at an alarming rate of like 4, 5, 6% per year over the last few years at least. It's always amazing to me how many people come to me with thousands, if not tens of thousands or more, sat in savings accounts earning, or in their current account, literally earning sweet F all. And then we're able, because I've got an ear to the ground with the market, of understanding what needs to be put away and obviously the best interest rates available. And we can immediately get it working for them at 4, 5, 6, 7%. And that's without investing it, right? That's in just the right kind of savings accounts that they need for them. So that's the potential. So that's the second pillar, saving money. Okay. Then we have pillar number 3, which is investing. This is the sexy part, the bit that everyone wants to jump ahead to and then end up falling on their faces because they don't understand what they're doing, and they also haven't set up their other pillars. It is undoubtedly the most powerful part of all of this. However, do not contemplate putting a penny into the stock market or any other asset for that matter until you have a solid grip of your monthly finances with a good money management system in place, debt freedom, and an emergency fund. When we went through pillar number 1 and I was talking about the order in which you need to do things and you needing to know what order in which to do those things and kind of making it like top level and not saying much more, I'm kind of giving away the gold here and basically telling you what you need to do. But you cannot put a penny into the stock market until you have those 3 things. You need a money management system first and foremost, so you know how much you are able to invest and have maximized this figure as much as possible. There is no point in just plucking numbers out of the air of saying, I'm going to invest X £100 per month and just hope for the best. Cool. Right. Then what? What goal are you investing against? How do you know if you're on track or off track? How do you know if you actually need to do more or less than that? What if you can't do that much in a certain month because you've got other things going on? What if you could actually do more than that, but you're not tracking it? So you don't know that. You can see how unoptimized that strategy is, right? So you need a money management system so that you know you've maximized it and you know every month what you can afford to invest and know that it's within your means. You need debt freedom, because there is no point in investing for a 9% yearly ROI in the stock market when you're paying 29% interest on your credit card debt, right? That math ain't mathing. You need to get your debt gone first. And finally, you need an emergency fund so that you are never put in a position where you need to sell off a part or all of your portfolio to cover an unexpected emergency, because doing so will just put your compounding in reverse and completely throw you off course from achieving any of your financial goals in the long term. Anyone who tells you otherwise, anyone who tells you that you should start investing before getting these things in place, does not have your best interests at heart and is probably just going to benefit more from you getting started before you should than you will. Okay, so once you have these pillars in place, then you can determine your investing strategy, and this will depend on your goals, your risk tolerance, and your time horizon. You also need to know your buying strategy as well. And this is exactly why every single person I work with one-on-one gets an investment roadmap and strategy built and tailored to them and their circumstances, along with the education they need to give them the confidence they need to implement it, because there is no one size fits all when it comes to investing. Okay, so you need to know how to build a portfolio, and select a buying strategy that's suitable for you and your goals and your time horizon. And if you're unsure how to do that, then I'll give you the opportunity to equip yourself with that knowledge later with your gift. For now, I want you to ask yourself, do you have money sitting in an account, maybe not invested, doing nothing and earning naffle because you don't know how to invest it in line with the goals that you have, or maybe scared that you'll do the wrong thing? Catherine, yes. Or maybe money you don't need right now that could be put to better use, right? Not the case for everyone. Some people are starting completely from scratch, but most people have something and they're just not doing what they should with it. Also, answer this one. Do you have investments right now that aren't working as hard as you'd like, but maybe you're unsure of the best alternatives that are low maintenance and will also won't keep you up at night, right? It's all good and well, your best mate saying, oh, buy this cryptocurrency, buy this next hot stock. But is that going to help you sleep well at night? Probably not, right? And I actually do want you to answer this one in the chat. Do you think you would waste less money each month if you had a solid investment plan tied to a specific goal for you, which gave you clarity over how much you needed to invest at the start of the month, right? I can see a lot of people saying, yes, 100%, absolutely. Sounds overly simplified again, but it's the absolute game changer. Like once people know what they need to invest to achieve their goal, all of a sudden, they find extra bits that they can put towards it as well, because they see the potential that investing extra can get them, right? It's an absolute game changer. And I think because ultimately, right, cutting to the point here, if you answered yes to any of those questions, then you're falling behind, because that money that you're not investing is money we could be using to buy back your time in the future, right? That's the bottom line. Really, the bottom line is, like, if you have no plan or even just kind of a plan and you're not investing optimally, then your money is devaluing at an alarming rate and your freedom is slipping further and further away. So just think about that for a second, take the appropriate action, okay? Because if you don't, nothing is going to change. So those are those pillars covered. Like I said, a lot of people leave that out, but I hope you appreciate me kind of going through those and giving you that extra kind of gold, because that breaks down a lot of what you really need to go and do. The outcome from phase 2 is visibility and control, giving you an understanding of how you're going to turn your situation around and achieve your goals, as well as exactly how long it will take, right? So think about how good that's going to feel. Phase 3 is where we take all of these wins and successes and we scale. In phase 3, you will eliminate all of your debt, right? Not, well, I mean consumer debt here, not necessarily mortgage debt, unless that makes sense for you. And obviously, if you don't have debt, then that's not applicable for you, and we'll move straight into then an emergency fund. If you've got debt, it'll be debt and then emergency fund, so on and so forth. Really, what we want to do is we want to sense check anything you already have in the form of kind of existing savings. If there's a gap between what we determine you need and what you already have, then we build a plan to fill that gap. And because of our thorough understanding of your circumstances, we can also map out a time of how long it's going to take to achieve that gap. Yeah. And if there's a surplus on top of what you need, then we make sure we take that surplus and we put it to work in the most optimal way to get you to your defined end goal in the shortest time frame possible, to make sure all of the pieces of your puzzle are tied together and working as hard as possible for you, and that there's sense and thought behind all of the things that we've got in place. Okay, we're going to automate all of your payments, contributions, and finance tracking processes, and begin executing on your investment plan and strategy for early retirement and financial freedom. Now, the outcome from this phase, like you heard Jade say earlier, is empowerment, right? Recognizing your wealth potential and understanding the steps and timeline for achieving it. That's what it comes down to. That's phase 3. Phase 4 is the momentum phase, okay? As its name suggests, this is where we take the momentum from the previous phases and we keep it going. Now, the hard work at this point is like 99% done, really. So it's just a case of literally just watching your fortune build and finding other ways to get more money into it to make it happen faster. You're going to have zero debt, and you'll have been executing on your investment plan and strategy and scaling your contributions and returns, and your savings rate will be topping about 40% at this point. Now, if someone had said to me at the start of my journey that I'd be saving 40% of my income on a monthly, household income on a monthly basis, I'd have been like, yeah, all right, mate, see you later. But when I started, my savings rate was about 3%, okay? Over the last 3 months, our savings rate has hit 60%. So it just goes to show, right? I'm 9 years into my journey. You're right at the beginning of yours. Don't expect to hit this right away. Take consistent action, and that is the potential that's ahead of you. Now, the outcome from this phase is just unstoppable momentum. Financial freedom at that point of the journey is now just an inevitability, right? It's not a case of if, it's a case of when. And you are now just on the cusp of complete time, location, and financial freedom if you follow it through to this point. Then we hit the ultimate phase, which is the freedom phase. Again, you'll be completely debt-free by this point, normally including your home if it makes sense to do so. And we normally run an assessment for each individual if that's something they're interested in, to show them which one makes the most financial sense based on their specific circumstances. But often it will include paying off your home. A lot of times it won't. You will be financially free at this point of the phase, and no longer dependent on anyone or any employer, because your passive income that we've generated up to this point will be taking care of all of your financial needs that we've mapped out and kept up to date to this point. And because you are now mortgage free with a 6 to 7 figure portfolio, you'll have a net worth of at least 1 to 3 million plus. It's normally a lot more for a lot of people. And again, if someone had said to me at the beginning of my journey that that's where I'd be ending up, I'd have been like, yeah, all right, see you later, mate. That doesn't happen to people like me. I grew up here, and I never came from money, and I'm never given a penny. That's just not what my future holds. And if you maintain that mindset, that's going to be your truth. That's going to be your future. If you decide to change that and think, actually, if I just took consistent action against a proven plan and system for long enough, that is what your future holds. Because think about it, by that point, mortgage free, think about what houses are going to be valued by that point in time, as well as how much you've got invested, 6 to 7 figures in an investment portfolio, you're a millionaire, right? It's just how the maths works. And I will run into more of that maths in a second. The outcome from that phase is FU money, right? The freedom to do what you want, when you want, for as long as you want, without ever having to ask for permission. It's pretty nice, right? Turns out the secret formula for financial freedom and becoming wealthy that you've been looking for is incredibly simple. It's a tailored plan plus consistency multiplied by patience, right? Multiplied by patience for a reason. If you consistently save, track, and invest your money against a tailored plan, tailored to you, built around this system, and have patience for 5, 10 plus years, it is impossible that you fail to hit your financial goals, or at least very drastically improve your prospects for the future versus where they're heading right now. People only fail when they start to save and invest without having their pillars or a solid, structured financial roadmap in place. And as a result of not having those things, they don't have clear goals and milestones that keep them on track. And without the direction, clarity, and conviction that comes with having those goals and milestones, they take money out of their savings or sell out of their investments to do something stupid with it, and they just kill their progress dead. And that's the worst thing you can do. So just don't be that person. Follow the process, stick to it every single month, and one day you'll check your portfolio only to realize that you've hit your FI number and you never have to work again, right? You can hand in your notice and live freely. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, does this really work? Will it work for me? Is often the most common question we get. Do I have enough money to achieve these things? And the answer to all of those questions is yes. Everyone can improve their finances and future prospects with this process. And I know this because I've seen all 270 of the people who I've helped apply it do exactly that, right? It's really that simple. The average student, let's just run some numbers right here, right? The average student right now is able to save and invest an extra £1,700 per month. Worst case after 12 months is around about £1,000 on average that they're better off by after implementing the whole strategy for 12 months. So let's say, just for argument's sake, that you're starting with 10K, right, across all of your investments, your workplace pensions, your stocks and shares, ISAs, savings, and so on and so forth. Some people have less, some people have more, right? But I'm just using a round number for argument's sake. Let's say you're starting with 10K across all of those accounts. And let's say that we're able to achieve the low end of the results that we get for people. And you've now got an extra grand a month after 12 months of action that you can put between your workplace pension and your investments as part of this process. After 15 years of action, that would have compounded to be worth £473,000. Not bad, right? I just made you about £500,000 richer than you otherwise would have been. So it's pretty cool. But if you leave your money there for another 10 years, you'll have amassed over £1.4 million. And you're starting to see here the power of compounding and why it's better to get started sooner rather than later. But the thing is, the clock really is ticking when it comes to compound interest, because after 30 years, your 1K a month investment with that 10K starting pot will be worth a whopping 2.4 million, right? Just to recap, rewind. You could save an extra £1,000 a month as part of this process, potentially, and invest that money using a simple set and forget passive investment strategy that I will teach you, and accrue over £2.4 million, depending on your timeline, right? But what if you already have your money invested with a platform and an advisor managing it for you, right? Well, let's use the same numbers. Assuming they get the same rate of return as the funds that we use, and statistically, you can Google this, 70% of these advisors fail to match the performance of these funds. But assuming they can, let's give them, you know, some wiggle room. If you're paying a combined 1.5% fee, and I see a lot of people paying 1.6 to 2%, let's say you're paying 1.5% fee, totaling platform charges and management charges and fund charges. Using the numbers we've just used in this illustration, you will end up with £562,000 less in your pocket by continuing to make that mistake of using that advisor and platform. That's over £500,000 using these numbers. Use this system that I'm teaching you instead, and based on this illustration, you'll potentially have £562,000 more in your pocket for retirement. It's a no-brainer, in my opinion. But do you want to know the crazy part, though? Is that for most of you, these numbers are like a worst-case scenario, like what you'll end up with. Because firstly, most people are starting with more than 10K, right? If you've been working for a decade or more, and you've been paying into a pension and so on and so forth, most people are going to have a lot more than 10K and are already making regular payments into a pension or an investment account, or maybe as well as an investment account. So that's the reason number one why you'll often end up with more than I've just illustrated. But secondly, when you follow this system, we don't just look at your investments like a traditional FA would, right? Where you just hand over your money and they say, cool, leave it with me and let's just see what happens. We ensure that your finances are optimized from the offset on a very, very basic beginner level, right? Meaning that your expenses remain the same as your income increases. And as that happens, your cash flow increases consistently. Your contributions to your workplace pension increase. You gain additional tax relief via our account structuring optimizations and coaching, right? Which means more money flowing into your accounts at no extra cost to you. Your monthly free cash flow that can be put towards your personal investments grows. And before you know it, you're contributing way more than you thought you ever could. So you'll likely achieve more than this if you have the right plan and obviously start today. Now, I've made sure that all of my one-on-one students are in a position to take full advantage of this compounding effect ASAP, and that they have a fully optimized plan with as much free cash flow as possible to pump into this money multiplying phenomenon. Because the earlier you start, as you've seen from these numbers, the more you have, the more your money will grow and the faster it will grow. And on that point, I want to just say to anyone who feels like, are they getting started too late? Will it work for me because I'm, 40, 50, whatever it is, whatever your age is? I want to share a story with you now. Okay, I want to tell you about one of my students who thought he was getting started too late at the age of 49. Now, our oldest student is 67, by the way. They're still now going to retire earlier than they otherwise would have, because they're probably going to be set to work forever. So we still improve their future. But this is one of my students who thought he was getting started at 49, but started using the strategy and this system. Okay, now Neil was able to not only save 6 figures in interest on his debt elimination plan that we built for him, at the same time, he shaved 9 years off of his retirement age, okay, despite starting at the age of 49 with a lot of debt. So take that and use that as like context based on what your circumstances are as a helpful guide. And here's what he had to say about it.
I mean, I think what I would say is, having come into this at 49 without a plan to get to 60, which is my retirement age in my head, it's helped me with that. I mean, if I was coming into this plan, a bit into the academy, sorry, as a younger man or woman, I think it's incredibly powerful. I mean, I think I'd probably be retired already if I came in, you know, if I came into this when I was 29, I think I'd already have a plan to retire at my age now, right? So,
Yeah.
but even having come to it late, I suppose the point I'd make, even having come to it quite late in the party, is that I can still see an enormous benefit, and it's 100% worth the investment. And I think your style, Joe, is very friendly, and you know, there's no such thing as a stupid question. We all are quite open with each other. We've all, you know, made mistakes, and financially or otherwise in the past, and you know, it's quite an open forum. We talk openly, and I think it's very, very helpful. I think anyone would be doing themselves a big favor to join. Honestly, I think it's very powerful.
So if this incredibly powerful and simple process, as Neil puts it, is all it takes, right? That's what I'm saying. Then why isn't everyone doing this and able to retire early? The answer to that question is really simple. It's because you simply haven't been given this information all in one place, along with this proven structured process for achieving all of these things until now. And once you take this, and once this is all in place, you'll have clarity over your finances and the steps you need to take. And that clarity and process gives you the confidence you need to make good, informed financial and investment decisions, because you'll know that they are going to drive you closer to your specific, clearly defined end goal. Right? It's a game changer. And this is what allows you to begin looking forward on your future with certainty and excitement, rather than uncertainty and fear. And let's face it, dread is what a lot of people feel when they look forward on their future. So we get rid of all of that. The bottom line is, until you follow a structured system like this, you're not going to make the progress you want to see, because you have lives, families, hobbies to be getting on with. You don't have the time to figure all of this out by yourself. Just follow this strategy, stay disciplined, and don't do anything stupid, because that's what Reese did. And this is the results he was able to get. Reese found me at 28. He earned good money, but him and his wife found themselves living paycheck to paycheck, stressed about money, in tens of thousands of pounds of debt. And they were living with his dad with their 3 boys, right? For what they thought was going to be at least 3 years before they'd be able to afford to buy their own house. And when I asked them when they thought they'd be able to retire by, they said 68 at best. Now, after 8 weeks of working through this system, using the tools and with my help, they are now $2,500 a month better off than they were before. They are no longer stressed about opening their online banking app, because they've got a plan now. They've got a money management system. They know what it's going to say. They've paid off 90% of the debt that they had and saved $4,000 in interest on that debt as a result. But one of the biggest wins is that by doing all of this and having me optimize their finances and the plan we put in place, it's now only going to take them 10 months to be able to buy their first house. Imagine that, right? Going from living with your 3 children and your wife whilst living with your dad, thinking you're going to be in that situation for 3 years, to that being less than a year before you're going to be out of that situation in your own house. I think his dad's pretty happy about it as well, to be honest. I'm sure he'll miss his grandkids, but there we go. So, by the way, he's also cut 21 years off of his retirement age. The reason that most don't achieve results like this is because they put it off and they let life happen to them, rather than jumping up on an opportunity like this and making the life they want to have happen. That is the only difference. So I've got 2 scenarios here to demonstrate the cost of that delay, the cost of putting it off, like we just talked about. We've got Jean on the left and Joanna on the right. They're the exact same age in this scenario. They're both 30, and both of them want to be able to retire by the age of 60. So in 30 years' time, with 40 grand a year in retirement, right? Which will require a £1 million portfolio using the 4% rule. Both of them have £550 a month that they can invest. Jean is great. We like Jean. She starts today. And as a result, she ends up with £1,050,000 at 60, giving her an income of £42,000 a year, which is an extra 2 grand a year for more travel and more leisure, right? Bonus. That's a really good position to be in. Joanna, on the other hand, she puts it off because now's not a great time, okay? She starts 12 months later as a result and ends up with £93,000 less in her investment accounts than Jean, and 4 grand less in income per year in retirement as a result. Unfortunately, that doesn't meet her income requirements. And it means that she now has to cut back on, you know, the travel and the fun and the leisure she wanted to have in retirement, just so she can cover her basics. Waiting for the right time is going to leave you worse off. There is never a good time. The best time was always yesterday. The next best time is always now. But it is going to not only leave you worse off by a bit, it's going to leave you worse off by tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds, because that gap of £93,000, if we're using those specific numbers, doesn't grow by the same amount each year that you wait. It grows exponentially with compounding, as you can see with the numbers on here. Now, these numbers assume that you're starting from zero. They're basically to have £1 million at retirement, depending on your age, how much you need to take out of your own pocket. They assume you're starting from zero, which most people aren't. But it's a good illustration of how much it costs you to wait, delay, or even the cost of figuring it out for yourself, which is always going to take longer than having someone who's already done it do it for you. Okay, you get the idea. So tell me, are you really too busy to save yourself £93,000 like the example we saw with Jean and Joanna? Probably not, right? How about 250K, which is the extra you will need to contribute out of your pocket if you get started from scratch in your 50s and 60s rather than your 30s and 40s. Now, that said, for anyone who is getting started in their 40s, 50s, 60s, it's still not too late to drastically improve your circumstances and your prospects for the future by doing something. If you continue to do nothing, they will just continue to get worse or stay the same, right? And if they're staying the same, they're probably getting worse with inflation. So you've got to do something. Ultimately, the bottom line that I'm trying to put across here is it is not worth the cost. No one is too busy to save that much money, and waiting for the right time is not an excuse that your future self is going to be happy with when you're working and you're the one working into your 60s and 70s. So just to think about your future self in this situation. So here's what we've covered so far. You know that your problems can be fixed and your goals and desires achieved with this system, right? You've heard from the people who've done exactly that. You've seen the system laid out for you in detail with the outcomes that you can expect to achieve once you complete each phase. And you know the power of compound interest and the importance of getting started with a custom investment plan and strategy sooner rather than later. And you've seen what it's going to cost you if you wait as well, right? With every month you wait amounting to literally tens of thousands of pounds extra that you will be short of in retirement or have to contribute extra out of your own pocket if you keep pushing this down the road. Now, some of the things that we hear from people at kind of this point is obviously, will this work for me, right? As you've seen, I've worked with people across all demographics, ages, income ranges, and starting points. Every single one of them are now better off than they were before, no matter their location or their circumstances, their income, so on and so forth. All of them now know how to achieve their specific goals and are on track to doing exactly that. Okay, so it really, really kind of comes down to that simplicity. Another thing we hear is, I'm afraid I'll lose money. And this is a really, really important one, especially for those who have never kind of dabbled with investing, never really kind of had the time or been taught by anyone how it works. I totally understand. Getting started with investing can feel incredibly daunting if you don't have someone to help you through it. But this is why I'm so keen on not just providing you with like a plan and a bunch of steps for you to just go and blindly follow and you being a bit like, oh, is this going to work? I don't really understand. But also providing you with the education you need on all of the processes and the strategies that we're going to use to build your specific roadmap and how it works and why we're using those strategies based on your circumstances to achieve your goals, so that you have the confidence you need to actually enact those steps that I give you, right? Ultimately, when it comes down to investing, you need to be aware, right? Obviously, when you invest, capital is at risk. When you invest, the markets will go down as well as up over time. It's just a fact of the matter. But what we do also know is, if you're not investing, you will never be able to retire. Ask any person educated on the subject, and it's just how the maths works. Markets will go down as well as up over time. But what we do know, actually, what people fail to kind of mention a lot of the time, is that the markets have averaged a 10.9% annualized return over the last 80 years. And we use a return estimate of 9% to be safe, on top of inflation adjusted expenses for the future, to double count it, so that actually you end up with a plan that is most likely to be achieved sooner than we map it out. So we are under promising and over delivering rather than the other way around, which would just leave you disappointed. So we factor all of these things in to make sure that actually we're being sensible about this, and you're likely to achieve your goal sooner, if not, you know, with a bit more as well. Now, another thing I hear all too often, despite what we've just gone through, is now's not a great time. Look, for whatever reason, you know what it's going to cost you, how much it's going to cost you to wait. The bottom line is the people who dive in immediately into something like this unlock their financial potential immediately and have their custom roadmap in place within the space of a month or two. Those who don't jump into this immediately, they slip back into their day-to-day routine, and you know just how easy that is. And before you know it, another 2 years have gone by, and they're now literally hundreds of thousands behind on where they could have been had they started 2 years earlier, by the time you measure that compounding out over 20, 30 years, right? It's crazy. And finally, one thing we hear is not too often, but especially from people who haven't got, you know, dabbled in investing or already understood compounding before, understandably, they can say, it sounds too good to be true. And now it's good to be skeptical, but actually, I don't think this does sound too good to be true. In fact, it doesn't sound too good to be true. This is not a get rich quick scheme, and we are using government approved, regulated methods of investing and building wealth over the long term. It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes consistency. And if you don't put in the work, you will not get the results. I'll be very, very clear with you, okay? If I was promising to make you a millionaire tomorrow, next month, next year, or even like 3 years from now by just sitting in front of a screen, clicking some buttons, going out for your nice expensive lunch, coming back and having made 10 grand, that is a get rich quick scheme and probably a scam. Don't give your money to those people, right? That doesn't work. That's too good to be true. That's not what we're doing here. This is government regulated, approved methods of building wealth over the long term. So hopefully you can see the difference there, and I've helped to kind of shift your mindset. Now that you have this information, you have two options, just like I did at the start of my journey, right? Option one, you can try to take what you've learned today and attempt to build a comprehensive financial roadmap for your future around everything going on in your life with the existing commitments that you already have. If you do, I want to be really, really clear about what you need to include so that you don't miss anything out, because otherwise the plan will fall on its face. So if you do, you're going to need that plan to address your month-to-month finances. You'll need a proactive money management and tracking system, which feeds you the info you need on monthly free cash flow, savings and investment growth, debt progress, net worth impact, a debt elimination planner if applicable for you, sinking fund and account structuring set up for level loading your yearly finances, accurate FI number calculation and an iteration schedule, and a tax efficient investment plan, ISA bridging strategy if necessary, and life insurance strategy built around that specific FI number. And you'll need to link all of this to your current circumstances, so you now have to plug in what you already have. If you are not tying in all of the pieces of your specific financial puzzle together, then with this specific plan that you're now going to try and build, then not only will it eventually leave you feeling lost and confused sooner or later, but you're also going to miss out on just a ton of easy wins and optimizations. That means getting literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands more in your accounts at no extra cost to you. And that is obviously just going to delay your progress even further. So you need to be sure about that. That's option number one. Or, goes without saying, option number two, I can help you shortcut the entire process and give you the tools, knowledge, and structure system that took me 9 years to develop on day one of your journey, along with ongoing accountability, so that you get there guaranteed and sooner. You'll have a step-by-step plan tailored to your circumstances in place within 30 days, and no ambiguity, no guesswork, and no fear of making huge financial mistakes. So how do you get my help is probably the question you're asking. At this point, it's time to reveal that gift that I've been harping on at you about, okay? Now, I have intentionally reserved it until this point in the presentation so that only those who are actually committed to achieving their financial goals who have actually stayed until this point get the opportunity that you are about to receive, right? We started with over 1,800 people on this call. We've still got over 1,300 across 2 different hosting platforms, okay? And because you guys have watched this far, I think it's safe to assume that you are the kind of people who aren't all talk and are actually ready to do what it takes to improve your circumstances. Now, for the record, this is exclusively for you because you joined the webinar, and you won't see me promoting this anywhere else. I never have, and I never will. That's my promise, okay? Are you ready? I am giving you the opportunity to get access to the video course element of the Financial Freedom Academy. This is normally sold as an add-on for my one-on-one students for £900 plus VAT, so £1,080, but I'm offering it to you today to help you with everything I've laid out for you during this event, And that's not all. I'm giving you £600 off and lifetime access to the 34 videos and 4 tools you're going to need that will walk you through exactly what you need to do step by step to secure your finances and set yourself up for a comfortable early retirement. Okay, so I'm going to drop this message, the link in the chat, so you can go and take advantage of that. Let me get that in there. There we go. So you've got it. Lovely. And basically the link is in there now. So go and grab one while you can. Like I said, we've only got 20 available, and I will explain that why that is in a second. And obviously, like we said, we've got over 1,300 people still on this call. So go and grab yours ASAP. By the way, with your lifetime access to this, you get all future updates at no extra cost. For context, we started with 22 videos and 2 tools. We now have 34 videos and 4 tools. And everyone who joined earlier on hasn't had to pay extra for that access, and you won't either. Okay. The reason for this offer, the reason for this money off offer, which is the biggest I've ever done and not something I will be doing again because I'm not sure it's financially feasible, is that I believe that if you're watching this, then you are serious about achieving similar results to those you've seen me and my clients achieve. And if that's the case, this is the information and knowledge you need to achieve it. All right. And the reason for that only being 20 copies is because each person who invests in the video course will qualify to book a call with my team where they'll have the opportunity to join the Financial Freedom Academy. But we only have 20 spots available in that. That's why there are only 20 of these. Right? So it's the fair way to do it. The thing I'm really excited to announce, though, is that when you do join the Academy, I'm also going to take a huge £2,000 off your enrollment fee for the one-on-one coaching program, where you get 9 months of one-on-one access to me and where you'll have me build your entire lifetime financial roadmap for you and with you. Now, this is an exclusive one-off that I've never done and will not be doing again, hence why I've capped the numbers, okay? Because we can't keep doing this. And to be clear, that £2,000 off is only for those who purchase the video course, because you are the ones ultimately demonstrating commitment to achieving your goals. So you're the people we want to give our time to. And I can see we've already got 7 have gone already. Wow. Okay. So who've gone and booked their call. So once you check out, you'll see the option on the second page. Once you've checked out saying order not yet complete, with the option to book your call, and then you're all sorted. So make sure you get that booked in. Whilst you're locking in your space, I've not even gone through the bonuses you're getting yet, and we've already had 7 go. So let me tell you what you're getting with this video course, okay? The video course really is as close as you can get to guaranteeing that you'll achieve your financial goals and become financially free. Because within 30 days, you will learn how to identify and fix your self-sabotaging money habits, freeing up thousands of pounds every single year. You will learn how to master and maintain a budget that enables you to build wealth on autopilot. You will learn how to systematically eliminate debt faster, saving thousands of pounds in interest, like we've seen from the people who have done it. You will learn how to build a set and forget investment plan that leads to an earlier, more comfortable retirement. And you will learn how to identify how and when you will hit each of your financial milestones with the step-by-step walkthroughs provided in that video course, okay? There is a very good reason why nobody in the Financial Freedom Academy has ever failed. And it's because you get all of the information, the knowledge, and the tools you need without the fluff and the BS, okay? You also get a proven, structured, step-by-step system to follow, along with the tools that are built to work with that specific system as you work through it. So like I said, it's all built up from the ground. It's not just a chopped up, bits and pieces kind of thing that most of these kind of programs have. So really, it just completely removes the guesswork, and by doing so, helps you avoid the costly mistakes and delays that most people experience when they go through this kind of thing. So I'm just getting updates from my team. Apparently the website keeps crashing because of the traffic. Okay, right. Okay, no worries. So another 8, okay. Another 8 have gone already, so there are now 5 left. So while you're finding, I'm not even going through I need to go through the bonuses so you know what you're getting. While you're finding your way over to the page and locking in your copy, if you're having issues, make sure you refresh. There are payment plan options available on there as well, so you can spread the cost if you need to. And on top of that, there's like Klarna options and things, so you can do it at 0% with our payment plans. kind of scales a bit. So just make sure you're aware of what you're getting into. While you're finding your way over to the page, unlocking your copy, let me share the bonuses now that you are exclusively going to get on this call. By the way, these exclusive bonuses are already preloaded into this version of the course that is available tonight. Anyone who has bought before this won't have those. Anyone who buys after this, if it's for a different link, will also not have them. So it is exclusively for everyone who is watching this event. Okay. When you get the video course, you're going to get an immediate upgrade to the full premium version of the Financial Freedom Tracker. This is the creme de la creme. There is nothing above this, okay? Several levels up from any other version of this tool that is available with any other of my products. And you'll be able to immediately set, track, and achieve all of your financial goals faster and easier than you can imagine with just this tool alone, okay? And the lifetime updates, again, are included at no extra cost. The return that you should expect to see from using just the monthly money management part of this tool, which is tab 1 of 8, in just one of the tools of the 4 that you're going to get, the return you should expect to see from just that one tab of this one tool is £400 a month at minimum. That is the worst case result after 6 months of implementation of how much their cash flow has improved on a monthly basis from pre-program to after having implemented it. Okay, £400 a month improvement. The range is from like 400 up to like 6K plus, again, depending on the household income range and so on and so forth. So when you consider, even if you've got the worst case scenario, the lifetime benefit of that, I mean, in the first month, this is paid for this course itself. And then you've not even got into debt elimination, emergency funds, investing for financial freedom, and investing generally. So that's just a ridiculous offer. The lifetime benefit, though, per year, that's £4,800. The next year, that's another £4,800. The lifetime benefit is literally tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds, just from that one tab, right? In fact, while I'm on that point, I would encourage you, once you get your email, which should be in your inbox immediately, saying your name, here's your video, here's your access to the video course. Check your junk folder if it hasn't come through to your inbox immediately. And if you've unsubscribed, you're not going to get that email. So you'll have to resubscribe or reach out to us via email to let us know that you haven't got access to your course. But if you haven't seen it in your inbox, check your junk. You will have a link in there to log into the course immediately. Do that. Check your junk folder if you don't see it. Get in and watch the introduction and download the tools from the tools module of phase 1. So that way you can get started immediately and we'll see a return on your investment within literally the next few days. It's a no-brainer. Go get it, go get started and start making way on it. And that's just bonus number 1. You're also going to gain immediate access to the debt elimination walkthrough and the debt elimination planning and execution tool. This has helped my clients avoid £23,000 in interest on average on their debts and become debt-free 10 years faster. So if you have debt and you're watching this, this piece alone will pay for your investment today about 52 times over. That's wild. And if you don't have debt, that's cool. You're going to get this anyway, because obviously we had to build it for everyone, but you're probably more interested in the next bonus. Sorry. They're gone. Okay. Right. Yeah. 10. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, do that. Sorry. I'm just responding to my business partner. So they've all gone. Congrats to John, Catherine, and Joan who got the last 3. So what we've done, emergency response, we've added another 10 copies. The program was previously like we were only taking on 30 people for the next month. So we had 20 available for this and 10 available for anyone coming through the website and social media and so on. But ultimately, they're not here, and you are. So the team has said we're going to just add those 10 onto the website. So the counter that's counting how many copies are left is now broken. So please ignore that, because it hasn't acknowledged these extra 10 copies. But there are now an extra 10. So make sure you go and get those before they run out as well, because that wasn't expected. I'm going to reveal another bonus and then do a quick count just to check so that you're aware of what we've got left. All right. So, all right, gather myself. So with this video course, you're also going to unlock everything you need to achieve the success that you've been looking for with your investments once and for all. Okay, I'm going to stress that again. You're going to unlock everything you need, all the knowledge and education you need to achieve the success that you've been looking for with your investments once and for all. You're going to get immediate access to 11 video modules covering everything you need to know to invest for financial freedom. Okay. This is including modules such as like, what is investing, which a lot of people come into this who tell me that they were investing before and don't really need that piece, watch it and think, and say, they come to me and say, I really wish I'd watched this before I started investing. I learned so much from it. So what is investing on a fundamental level so that you know what you're actually getting into and how it works? Investment choices and allocations, compounding and the power of now, tax efficient investing, so you know how to tax effectively structure your investment portfolio, index fund investing versus ETFs, investing mistakes to avoid so you don't become another statistic, the true cost of investment fees, what it takes to pick individual stocks step by step, how to build, structure, and manage your portfolio, along with tools on how to do that and video walkthroughs on how to use those tools, how to tolerate, manage, and leverage stock market volatility so you know what to do when the market gets choppy, how to calculate your FIRE number, the 4% rule, and more. There's an awful lot of value in here. And that, by the way, is on top of phase 6, which is on top of step-by-step video walkthroughs on calculating your FIRE number in different ways. So you'll know exactly how much you need to invest each month and what type of accounts to utilize for tax efficiency, what your allocation percentages should be across your selected asset types, and how to forecast your returns accurately. All right, this is a comprehensive, everything you need all in one place, along with the system and tools and everything to get you to the point where you're ready to implement it all. It's what you need, okay? Then, to help you with the building and ongoing management and balancing of your portfolio, there is more, all of which I show you how to do in the course, by the way. I'm also giving you access to an additional Excel tool as part of this. With this tool, you can set your target allocations, asset types, and safety margins. You then input your actual holdings, and using some fancy coding, it will keep track of current market prices and let you know if and when they verge outside your target allocations, okay? This is really important. It's just to kind of give you a bit of context. Say you're going to split your portfolio across, say, 4 funds, and you're going to have 25% exposure to each one. You put those details into there, say it's these funds in these categories, 25% is target exposure, plus or minus 5%. It's then going to tell you when you verge outside of that plus or minus 5%, so you know what to rebalance and how to do it. It's so important because you can then make an informed decision about what to buy in your investment portfolio, what to potentially sell or potentially stop buying in order to rebalance your portfolio. It blows my mind how many people, again, come to me saying they've been investing for ages, they're not really sure they need that bit because they know what they're doing. And I say, cool, how are you rebalancing your portfolio? What's your strategy? And they're like, huh? What do you mean? I just buy and just kind of leave it. And I'm like, sorry? Like if you're not an investor, if you're not rebalancing your portfolio on a like a sequential basis, like you need to have a plan and strategy, a tool for tracking it. And this is all included in this course, okay? Again, guesswork removed, optimization and better returns achieved, and more money in your pocket. It's about teaching you why you need to do these things, how to do them, showing you specifically how to actually go and do it, and then having tools and processes to follow to make sure you stay on track and keep everything up to date. Like I said, comprehensive. The next bonus is brand new. I need a drink. And it's something that I'm really excited to share, actually, because before tonight, this was exclusively for my Academy members only, but you're also, I'm able to share this now. Essentially, the reason is it's a tool that I need to be careful what I share, like just willy-nilly, without giving people guidance on how to use it, because people could use these tools to make a financial decision and end up leaving them worse off because they didn't fully understand it. I now have a video showing people how to use it, so I can now share it with you, which is really exciting to do. So, like I said, this was previously exclusively for my Academy members, but you're also going to get access to the safe withdrawal rate risk calculator, okay? So how this works, once you've determined your FIRE number, again, unique to you, and your withdrawal rate, you can then plug your numbers into this calculator, and it will show you the percentage likelihood of success for your specific retirement numbers. Using what it does is it measures 65 different 30-year periods between the year of 1922 and 2022 to say that during all of those market conditions, here's how many times your plan would have succeeded and here's how many times it would have failed, to give you confidence, like a likelihood of your plan succeeding, so that you can then make informed adjustments and so on, right? And again, I'll show you how to do that. But basically what it's saying is despite the Great Depression and World War II and all the wars that happened between World War II and now, like the Ukraine war, COVID, 2008 financial crisis, dot-com bubble, all these instances where the market dropped anything from 5 to 90%, what it's saying is, okay, well, if you started at any point before, during, or after all of these events, here's how many times your plan would have been okay. And then it gives you a percentage likelihood of success. It's incredible. Again, really what it does is it gives you more peace of mind, more confidence, and really, when you think about it, confidence in your plan is ultimately what encourages you to keep plugging away at your plan and your goals, which means higher odds of success. It means you becoming wealthier and more likely to achieve financial freedom sooner, which means more money in your pocket. Again, right? It's a game changer. And then, and this is really special, I alluded to this in the WhatsApp group for those of you who are in there, but this is really special. I'm sending out access to a case study article that I produced exclusively for my one-on-one academy students, titled "The 3 Money Murdering Mistakes That No Financial Advisor Would Dare Tell You." Okay, again, check your junk folder because you do not want to miss this module of the course. This article details the 3 key mistakes that I see people making most often every single day. And these mistakes are costing them literally hundreds of thousands of pounds over their investing lifetime, if not more. And it shows you, this guide, how to avoid making those mistakes, or even stop the damage being done to your wealth potential if you've already made one or more of these mistakes. And I guarantee most of you are. Now, the important thing here, just to pause, you can see next to each of those bonuses that I provided the return that you should expect to receive from each of just those bonuses, not including everything else in the course, by the way. Now, let's just recollect here. So you're already getting £600, that's the gift, off a course that will help you retire on average 18 years earlier, right? That's the average. Again, the range will depend on you and your circumstances. So let's go super worst case. Let's say that you're only able to retire 5 years earlier than you otherwise would have if you didn't do this course. And let's say you get the course and you're able to retire 5 years earlier than you otherwise would have. And let's say that each of those years of extra retirement, extra freedom, where money is no longer an issue or a stress and you're free to live on your terms, is worth a mere £1,000 per year to you. Okay. I mean, if someone was selling years of extra retirement for £1,000 a piece, I'd be taking out big loans, put it that way. Well, if you're getting 5 years out of this and each year is worth £1,000, then that's £5,000 of value immediately, right? And it's £480. Then there's the monthly improvement that it will make to your expenses of at least £400 per month, right? That's another £4,800 a year for all the time that you're using it. Then we have the debt modules and tools, which have saved my clients £23,000 in interest and 10 years of their lives where they no longer need to pay towards their debts, and they can use that time to pay towards their future instead of the banks, right? That's insane. That's another £23,000 worth of value. Then there's the modules and tools you need to build your effective, tax-efficient, low-fee investment plan and strategy using safe, proven, time-tested investment methods that actually work, right? Unless you already have that in place, that's going to earn you hundreds of thousands, if not more, over your investing lifetime if you don't already have that. Like I said earlier, the average student is saving 468 grand in just investment fees alone working with me using this process and investing strategy versus an advisor charging a combined 1.5%. And again, I know this because I've seen the 270 plus people I've worked with getting these results, and we track them on a daily basis. We track these results. So in total, we've got a few £100,000 worth of value at least to be gained from this and these bonuses, and it's only £480. So I would just say, like, please, if you're sat there thinking, like, let's get real. If you're sat there thinking, can I afford £480 or do I want to pay £480 for this? And you don't have all of this information and these tools and this knowledge in place already, I would instead be asking yourself, can I afford to carry on without this course and stagnate and stay where I am? Because all the while you're stagnating, you're actually falling behind where you could be, right? Like as I kind of explained earlier with compounding and how the gap grows exponentially. Because every month you continue without this knowledge and these tools, when we really look at the maths, is costing you a lot more than £480. So let's see how many we've got left at this point. We're down to 4 left, okay, of those 10. 6 of those are gone already. So, okay, make sure you grab yours as soon as you can. And then I've got another bonus. That's right, I'm actually not done. I just need to drink again. All right, final bonus, and this is a good one. This is something that's really special for all of the action takers on the call, okay? With access to the video course, and once I've gone through this, I'll go through Q&A. So make sure you ask any questions you've got in there. I'll go through some of the earlier ones, and then we'll jump back to the most recent ones so that everyone who's still on here with me, the hardcore ones of you, can get your questions answered, all right? With access to the video course, when you get it, you're also going to get an exclusive opportunity to apply for my private one-on-one mentorship inside the full Financial Freedom Academy. I've touched on this already here and there, but the Academy is where I will personally guide a select number of individuals to accelerate their journey to financial freedom, okay? The video course doesn't include, obviously, one-on-one coaching because it's only £480. No one can work for that money. But I need you to understand why this bonus in particular is so important, right? As of now, as I said earlier, right, the doors to the Academy are now closed. You cannot get in any other way other than through this route right now. We're intentionally holding off on taking anyone else on so that you guys on this call are getting priority consideration to join. So just bear that in mind. Like I said, I want to reward the action takers, and you are the ones who have shown up tonight and shown intent and the will to want to do something about your circumstances and improve your future. And you're the people I want to work with. But on top of that, I'm offering a massive £2,000 off your enrollment, which is the biggest money off offer I've ever run. So with this, plus the video course gift price, that's £2,600 less than it would cost anyone else to get access to this coaching. So once you purchase the video course, you'll be invited to book a 45-minute one-on-one with me or one of my senior team members, so either Romeo or Raphael. And during that call, they will ask questions to dive deeper into your circumstances and assess if you're a good fit for the Academy, and to determine if we can deliver the level of results that we are known for, right? That's the important thing. Just like we did for Ross. Now, Ross went from no plan at 42, literally no plan and very little invested, to being on track to be able to retire at 50 within the space of 8 weeks of getting started. Matt went from depleting his inheritance savings with no future plans to now investing £500 a month extra and retiring at 47. Right, Angelica, who thought, in her words, that she was destined to work until she was dead. She's now saving $1,400 a month more and retiring at the age of 55 to do what she loves, which is to breed dogs, which is cool. She's also moved, by the way, from Guatemala to Spain, which I helped her financially plan out as part of the service. Juliana, who went from no goal, no plan, and literal financial anxiety, saving an extra $4,500 a month between her and her partner, and now being set to retire at the age of 51 together, and so on, right? There's more of those stories there. There is more on my website, more on my YouTube channel. There is even more on my Instagram page. If you go to my client wins highlight reels, these are real people who have taken real decisive action and are now achieving real life-changing, future-altering results. I don't really know what more can be said about that. So I suppose really, like, if you're serious about bettering your finances and would like my one-on-one support, literally holding your hand throughout the entire process, I urge you to take this opportunity, get your video course and tools, and then lock in your call. And if you get it, jump on the opportunity to join the Academy to work with me with £2,600 off what it's going to cost anyone else. Because if you do, you could be the next person we interview for the success videos, right? Obviously, you don't have to. Some people want to stay anonymous, which is fair enough. But you could be if you wanted to. Now, we talked earlier about your options. Option one being try to do this all yourself over the next few months and years, hopefully not making too many costly mistakes and, falling further behind. And option two being this course, and ultimately then the Academy, giving you everything you need. And then me, if you do so, right, if you do join the Academy, building your entire plan for you in the space of 30 to 60 days. And also, by the way, guaranteeing that you get the results you want or your money back. That's an important point to know, and I'll tell you more about that on your call. Now, I've been running this program for nearly 3 years now, which is crazy, actually. So I've spoken with a lot of people, as you can imagine. And of course, some of them do opt to go it alone. And what I mean by that is they don't get the video course and they also don't get the one-on-one coaching that they need. And in these cases, we always follow up with them 6 months later as a duty of care, just to see how they're getting on and how they're doing. And This is what we've seen happen with those people who don't get the course and don't get the help they need, but say that they're going to do it themselves. First of all, many of them just get completely overwhelmed with the steps that they have to take, the different number of choices they have to make, and not knowing the exact starting point for them. So they just don't start, and life and opportunity just passes them by. It's really, really sad to see. They also don't know what choice to make with the various investment types and platforms available to them. And this often leads to them choosing a bad option ultimately, or just like a less optimal one, and ending up paying tens, if not more, thousands in fees over their investing lifetime. And because they're also not educated on how to optimize for tax efficiencies, they lose out on tens of thousands more that they could have had in their pocket later in life, which would have literally cost them nothing extra. You wouldn't believe the numbers that we've been able to put into people's future retirement like forecasts simply by way of using the right tax strategy. It's legal, right? The systems are there. People just don't know how to use them. It's crazy. They also often lack the confidence they need to continue investing when things get choppy in the market, because they have a bunch of questions and they fear that they're going to do the wrong thing. And because they tried it alone, they don't have anyone to help them and to guide them through. In the last 2 years, nearly 3 years now, that I've been following up with those people who took option one to go it alone, not get the course and not get the help. We have spoken with over 800 people who actually picked up the phone to us after that. Can you tell me, or feel free to not to answer it, right? Guess how many of those people had made any progress whatsoever after 6 months? You don't have to tell me. A mind-blowing 0% had made any progress at all after 6 months of saying that they were going to, which you might be sat there thinking, Joe, it's only 6 months, mate, chill out, give them a chance. But ultimately, I know what they're losing out on. They are losing out on years of their life that they could have been financially free, and tens, if not hundreds of thousands that they could have had in their investment portfolio because they didn't take action. And I don't want that for you, because I see those who did take the leap with me, right? Who joined the full program, had their roadmap built in under 30 days, and were saving now thousands more than they thought they could, becoming debt-free faster, saving 23 grand on average in interest on their debts, and getting an investment plan and strategy in place that had them set to retire years earlier on the passive income I was helping them to build. The gap between those who didn't take action and invest in themselves and those who did is now huge. And that's after just 6 months, after half a year. Think how quick that goes, right? Anyone with kids will tell you it goes quick. And the gap now is just growing exponentially every single day. So ask yourself, which side of that equation do you want to be on, right? The side with those who are actually progressing and accumulating wealth every single day with a clear path to financial freedom, or the side with those who are stuck where they've been for years, going backwards as you continue to fail to unlock your full wealth potential. That's the choice that you've got in front of you, really. Now, obviously, we have a lot more people who want option two, right? Having it all done for you, than we actually have spaces available. We've still got just under 1,000 people on this call across 2 platforms, and only 30 now. I need to update the numbers on here. Only 30 will actually have, the ability to access the course and the tools and have the opportunity to upgrade to the program. The reason for this limit goes without saying, really, right? My team of 2 and I can only take so many calls, and I will also only take on the number of clients in 1 month that I know I can provide a very high level of service to. That's really, really important to me. Just like you can see from all of the experiences with people who have left these comments within the community where we run this program. And this is why only those who purchase the video course will get this opportunity, to ensure that we're giving our time to those who really, really want this. You're the people we want to give our time to. So, go and lock it in. The link is in the chat on here. I'm also going to drop it actually in the WhatsApp group so that you've got it. There we go. So that's in there as well. Now, it may be that you're unable to get a place if you haven't already. I'm being told we've got 3 left now, but you should be able to see the link to grab your copy in the chat if there are any left, and in the WhatsApp group if you don't have access to the chat. But I really hope you jump on this and give yourself the best chance for the future and your family's future. And I'm really excited to help as many of you as possible. So just make sure you get yours locked in ASAP to avoid disappointment. All you need to do, click the link, check out, then select the time and date for your call, fill in the brief form so we get a simpler understanding of who you are, where you're currently at with your circumstances, what your goals are. And now, if for any reason you decide not to claim this one-time offer tonight and you decide to try and give this a go on your own, right, knowing the statistical likelihood of that resulting in no progress after 6 months, despite what you could do with me in 6 months, then it's a sign you're probably not a great fit for this. But, you know, and if we never speak again, that's totally okay. Ultimately, not everyone is built for it. But I would just encourage you to take some form of action, no matter what it is. Just take one step forward with your finances and do something off the back of this event before it's too late and you find yourself in a place where you can't actually afford to save enough to achieve the retirement lifestyle that you actually want in the future, and end up having to make concessions on the quality of life like we saw in that example. So I hope this training has been the stepping stone or guidance that you've needed to encourage you to take some form of action today. Go and get it done. Just remember, the longer you wait, the harder, more complicated and more expensive it gets to catch up. So just take some action. Right, let's go through Q&A. I can see a lot of questions in here. All right. So let's find the most common asked ones. Right. Someone has said, is it advisable to take the equity, I assume, out of your home for investing? The mortgage rate is at 4.3%. Depends how much risk you're happy to take. Obviously, there's more risk involved in that than using just spare cash and other kind of amounts of money that you have. Mathematically, based on historical averages and looking purely at the maths and not the psychological element and the lack of peace of mind that might give you, then it could work out well. I'm not saying to do it by any stretch of the imagination. That is not financial advice. I wouldn't personally do it. I think there's a balanced approach to just letting your mortgage ride along, leveraging the bank's money to borrow that to pay for your home and just paying them back with lower interest while you put your spare money into investments for the future. That's generally what works out best for most people. Okay. All right, let's find another good one. Oh, good question. What is the best savings account? So it depends on your goals. Obviously, certain accounts have certain limitations. So it depends how much you're contributing on a monthly basis. And the answer to a lot of these questions is it depends. As I'm sure you're probably aware, there's a lot of factors that go into these. Best options I know of right now on the market are the Trading 212 Cash ISA. But again, depending on your circumstances, you may have already maxed out your ISA allowance and so on. There's also the Snoop Saver, which I believe to be the best option right now in terms of flexibility. You can add as much as you want, as often as you want, take out as much as you want, as often as you want, with no penalty. It's paying 4.3% interest and 4.35% interest AER, but they pay the interest daily. And if you want access to your money, so long as you apply for it before 11 a.m., it'll arrive in your account the same day. If you apply after 11 a.m., it'll arrive the next day. So it's really flexible, very few limitations, if any, and the interest is paid daily. So you see your money growing literally every single day. And you also don't need to pay for the premium version of the platform either, which is great. So that's what I would say there. There's also the Santander Edge account, but they only pay interest up to on the first 4K of your balance. And you need to have the Edge current account to go with it. Otherwise, you can't get the Edge Saver. But that account is currently, I believe, still paying 6% interest. Like I said, only on the first 4K though. So that answers your question. Right, let's find another good one. Right, someone has said, I'm about to turn 50. Have I left it too late? No. So the oldest member of our program is 67. Like I said, they're still set to retire earlier than they otherwise would have. We've got a lot of people who are in their 50s who just are panicking last minute and thinking, I need to make sure I've got the best possible retirement, possible for me, and I don't know what to do otherwise. Then if that's you, this is perfect, because you're going to then know exactly what you need to do to improve your specific financial prospects for the future and understand how early you can retire based on the current circumstances you have after implementing this system with me. Okay, so it's more, if anything, it's more time sensitive for you, obviously, because the sooner you get a plan in place, the sooner you can start taking action, the sooner you get potentially more money invested, or the money you've already got invested more optimally invested, the sooner that starts growing more potentially, and then the sooner you get to your ultimate end goal of being able to retire sooner rather than later, right, and not having to work until you're dead. So I would say that's really, really important, and no, you have not left it too late. All right. For finding another good one. There's a lot of specific circumstances in here in terms of these questions. I'm trying to find one that might relate to a lot of people. Yeah, I'm 60 years old. Is this going to work for me? Yes, it will. I say these things pretty confidently because I know that, you know, we've done this for people who are that age, and it's helped them massively. So I can confidently say yes. And like I said, if you get a video course and then choose to work with me and we work together and I can't help you and you don't, you know, get a certain level of results, which we'll agree together before we work together, then you will get your money back. Because if you're the first person I let down, I don't deserve your money. So you can have it back and you'll be on your way. But so it's kind of like a risk-free approach. Obviously, there isn't a money-back guarantee with the video course because it's you do it yourself. You're responsible for showing up and doing the work and so on and so forth. Whereas when you invest to work directly with me, I'm responsible for getting you those results. So if I can't get them for you, I don't deserve your money and you'll get it back. And I sign a contract to that effect as well. So just so you're aware. Cool, right. Right. That's a great question. Do I have to forego things to achieve my goals? Obviously, it depends specifically what your goals are. But generally speaking, there's this huge misconception that you need to live on rice and beans and not do anything in order to achieve financial freedom. And that's not the case. The process, the system that I've built is specifically targeted and, like I said earlier, ensuring that you find that balance between living well today, but within your means, whilst ensuring that you can continue to live well for the rest of your days, so that it's not too far weighted in one direction or the other. There is no point in being miserable today in order to just retire a few years earlier, because it's not going to be worth the journey, right? And there is no point in blowing every single penny and living for today because you don't know what happened tomorrow, and then getting to tomorrow and thinking, shit, I've got no money. I'm going to have to work until I'm dead. This isn't great. And then all the while your health is declining, you might not have the option to work, then you'll end up on benefits, on a poverty income, and with a very, very uncomfortable life. So it's all about balance, and this is what we help to plan out for you. Okay. Is there a UK app? Yes, this is a good question. Is there a UK app that pulls out data from our bank accounts to tell us our incomings, outgoings, etc.? Yes, Pragati, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. The Snoop app is what I would recommend. And in the video course, there is step-by-step instructions on how to utilize that app alongside my spreadsheet file to get the absolute most out of it, how to optimize it and get it as automated as possible as well. So Snoop is what I would recommend. It's an absolute game changer. Everyone I know who started using it loves it. Okay. How can I do this with my wife spending without thinking? Do it together. I would say one of the most powerful parts of the entire process when you work through the video course is an exercise called the 3-month look back that you do at the beginning, because it gives you the opportunity to look back on your spending over the last 3 months. And it's the most eye-opening experience you will probably have together in terms of your finances. And that will stop both of you, it will stop anyone spending without thinking, because you'll be more aware of the impact of those spending decisions on your overall financial health. And if you want your financial health to get better, you'll know that things need to change. Like I said, you can't change a bad habit if you don't know you have one, or even aren't willing to accept that you have one. I'm not saying that that's the case. And this will help to highlight those and it's not about judgment or shaming or anything like that, or guilt tripping people. It's about just confronting the truth, the unbiased facts with the data in front of you on a spreadsheet, right? Spreadsheets don't judge, they just give you the data so that you can make data-driven, informed decisions about what you're going to do with your money moving forwards. Okay, so this is a good question. How is the Academy different to the FI courses provided by the Rebel Finance course? The Rebel Finance course is very, very basic. It covers the essentials that most people should just know, but don't. This takes things to a whole nother level and gives you practical step-by-step advice to take some of that education, but all of this education you're also going to get in this program, to implement it to your specific circumstances and to pump that into tools that are built to work with the specific system, so that you then have a step-by-step strategy to get you to from where you are now to achieving all of your short, medium, and long-term goals. It will also it will also educate you on a deeper level on investing, calculating your FI number, and investing for financial freedom, so you know exactly what you need to do to get there. Okay. Right. Yeah, so we answered the the spending tracking app, so that's covered. Someone said, will I provide the Excel spreadsheet so that we can fill in the figures? So that's all included as part of the video course, along with video walkthroughs on how to, you know, fill in literally every single tab and get the most out of it, and that you're using it properly. It goes into a lot of detail on exactly what you need to do so that you get it right first time, which I'm really, really keen on. Okay, let's do 2 more questions. Let's go to the bottom to see if there's anything that anyone's asked recently. Someone has said, I can't afford the £480 today. Check, because there's payment plan options and there's also Klarna. But can I still join another day and get a good offer? Well, this is available, like I said, for the first 30 people who take it. If they're gone, they're gone. And I'm a man of my word. I don't think it's good to lie about these things. We're not making this up. That's what's available. So if they're gone, they're gone. If they're still available, then you'll be able to get it. Whether that will be available tomorrow, we don't know. We are down to 3 still remaining. So yeah, I don't want to make any false promises. Ultimately, if we run another event in the future, whether the money off like the gift will be this big, we don't know. So I just don't want to make any promises that I might not be able to keep, right? So take advantage of this one while we have it. Right, let's go through a popular one. This is a great one. Sarah Adams. How do you start saving for married life? Really good question. You've got to just agree on what works for both of you, because people have different mindsets about money management. The best thing you can do is get aligned on what your financial goals are and combine everything together. Ultimately, if you're married, then you've made a massive commitment to one another, and all the money that's coming in, you should see as just one big pot. And how are we going to use that one big pot? Regardless if someone earns 100% more than the other, it doesn't really matter. You see it as one big pot, and you think about how you're going to use that pot to achieve your specific goals. And once you've got all of that detail logged into the tools that you'll have as part of this course and the video instructions that go along with it, you'll then know how to break it up into the different elements to cover the, you know, fixed bills, the expenses you have, the things you want to do, the life you want to live, as well as sinking funds you're going to set up for the, you know, recurring costs that come up less frequently through the year, like travel, holidays, car maintenance, all that kind of stuff. And then you'll see what's left to put towards your savings and investments as a whole, as a couple, which you can then distribute between accounts in your separate names, so that you're utilizing tax efficiencies here. I'm giving a lot away here, so that you can build a plan and then start forecasting out, which again, the video course will show you how to do, to see when it's likely to happen that you'll both be able to stop working. So that's how I would start saving for married life, and using these tools and everything in there. All right. Let's do one more. Okay. Michelle, we currently have the money to pay off our mortgage, but unsure if this is the best thing to do or whether we should invest it. You need to run the numbers, because if you do one or the other without running the numbers to see what both the potential outcomes would be, you're always going to lay in bed at night thinking, oh, I wonder what would have happened if we had done this instead. Or you're going to see news about the stock market rallying and think, oh, fuck, I wish I'd done that. Or you're going to see that, you know, mortgage interest rates went up and think, oh, I'm really glad I did that. You need to run the numbers. And this is why running through a process like this with someone like me is so helpful, because, and obviously I would say that, but this is what people say to me, right? Because I'm able to map out both scenarios based on your specific circumstances. We can take all of your details of your specific mortgage, the investments we would use, the numbers that we're going to pump into those calculations, and I can say, okay, if you do scenario A, which is pay that off your mortgage, here's when you get to your ultimate end goal of having financial freedom sooner rather than later, not having to work. If you did scenario B, invested that instead and left that money, left your mortgage running along, here's when you would get to your ultimate end goal of being able to retire earlier. And then you can look at that and say, okay, well, based on the information, I can now make an informed, data-driven decision about what we're going to do with our money and feel comfortable about it, knowing that I had both options and all of the data in front of me to make that decision. And you're going to feel a lot better about it as a result. So I can't give you an answer to that question because I don't know yet, because I don't know the specific circumstances of your numbers, your interest rates, and so on and so forth. We would need to work through that together, but you need to run the numbers, whether it's with me or anyone else. All right. We are at time, and I appreciate it's late, so we are going to call it there. Very much looking forward to hearing about your calls over the next few days and weeks, and obviously getting the opportunity to work with many of you as well one-on-one if you take that opportunity to really, really fast track your journey to financial freedom and really make shit happen for you. That's really, really what it is that I do. So someone's just said, where's the option to spread the £480 payments? On the checkout page, if you go to the link under where it's got the description of the product on that checkout piece, you'll see like check boxes. You can select whether you want to do it in 1, over 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months. I think that's basically all we have. Or if you do it in 1, you'll see the option to use Klarna, where you can spread it out over whatever they let you use. And obviously those terms are set by Klarna, not me, so I can't control them. Just so you're aware. All right. Well, it's been amazing presenting to you all. You've been a really engaged audience. I really appreciate your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your evening and have a great rest of your week. And yeah, I look forward to hearing about your calls over the next few days and getting to work with many of you and make it happen, really get you to financial freedom sooner rather than later, so you can look on the rest of your peers who are working, well after you are, and feel really good about yourself. All right. I jest, but it's true. Cool. Right. Take care. Enjoy your evening, and I'll speak to you soon.